Welcome to the NutriMedical Report, live from Genesis Network in Minnesota. And we are bumping it up, as you can see, the first months of this new year, quite a few notches, with new whistleblower information, new major breakthroughs, and new battlegrounds all over the world, not only in the United States, but Canada and elsewhere, bringing you information that's vital to your future physical, economic, and spiritual existence in this very dangerous world that's getting more dangerous by the minute, and exposing corruption and taking it down to annihilation. So to welcome to the program for the first, I'm sure, of several times, we're going to have on the program today Alex Hunter and Christine Forbes. And I want to welcome you both to the program. NutriMedical Report, of course, is broadcast into Canada. CRTC has not blocked it coming in the Internet. It's on KU-band digital satellite North and South America. Starguide 3 feed to the 12-foot dishes across North America as well in the Western world. ABC affiliates, and now we want to welcome all the new independents that are picking up the show. We cover the best anti-aging, wellness, and life technology, civil defense. We are the whistleblower's place to go if you're a military officer, if you're a scientist, if you're bringing out information dealing with economics in terms of what's going on to our world, the controlled demolition of the economy. If you're an injured worker or military person, this is the place to go. I want to welcome for the first time Alex Hunter and Christine Forbes. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey there.
Thank you very much for having us.
Well, Alex and Christine, tell us about your organization, and I want you to get, I know there's a lot of details, so I'm going to try to structure the questions so we can move along here. What you've uncovered in a nutshell that I've got so far is that a company called Emergis, E-M-E-R-G-I-S, in Canada, has taken over and produced the electronic medical records technology for managing work comp and health care across the country. It has now been taken over by TELUS Mobility, which is a phone and communications company. TELUS, of course, is more than 50% owned by U.S. affiliates. It is working with U.S. corporations. There's been various attempts by corporations in U.S. like WellPoint out of Ohio to return doctors in using a database analysis of the doctor's claims to the state licensing authority for substandard care if they won't prescribe the requisite amount of cholesterol-lowering agents, blood pressure meds according to a protocol. And they tried to pull this off in California last year, had a massive revolt by doctors through the California Medical Association, Blue Cross Blue Shield, managed by WellPoint. What they've done in Canada, of course, and this ties into the harmonization, and I talked to Connie Fogel. She recommended that I contact you from the Canadian Action Party. The harmonization with the United States, with the coming implosion of the economy, with the fusion of Canada, the United States, and Mexico into Region 3 of a new world system of 10 regions, this is going to be very noxious. They've used Canada as a laboratory, abusing workers in the workers' compensation arena, abusing military coming back, and having a total virtual electronic medical record system that allows any caseworker or nurse to log on and get every single prescription, all of your medical records, and stigmatize you forever and deny claims, and the corruption is of a galactic level. So I guess that's my summary of what I see so far. Can you fill me in the details of how this is not only affecting Canadians today on denied claims and destroyed lives, but also how this is working in collaboration with U.S. corporations, eventually to harmonize and take over health care in every U.S. state as well?
Well, I will start as it was my husband's claim file that kind of led me on my garden path to the point that I'm at now, which was rather funny that we were chatting briefly this morning, and you had dropped a name called WellPoint. And I myself, when looking through the inventory, I'm not much of an investor. I don't know a lot of these U.S. companies. So when you put me on the spot for WellPoint to see if it was something that they invested in, it sure enough, the Workers' Compensation Board, ICBC, our public sector pensions that are invested by the British Columbia Investment Management Corporation are getting invested in TELUS as well as this WellPoint, which serves over 35 million Americans.
Oh yeah, and WellPoint is the most noxious and evil company on the planet. They're right up there with corporations like HealthSouth. I call them HealthSouth. That I used to be the senior director in Denver, and dealing with literally the devil's minions themselves with workers' compensation cases, putting the military and workers in Colorado at extreme risk, that is to say, with extreme prejudice against the workers.
Yes. And the British Columbia Investment Management Corporation doesn't invest a little penny on this WellPoint Inc. They have well over 300,000 shares in excess of well over $13 million.
Oh, well, that sounds wonderful. So if they harmonize it, harmonizing this with the Canadian system where they're using the Canadians as a laboratory, and when they harmonize with the Trilateral Commission, which John Hamill's talked about, of the IHFS, the International Health Freedom Association, they're getting ready to literally use Canada as a communist Marxist laboratory to completely crush the rights of all Americans, too.
Oh, of course. And they're doing it very quietly, and they're doing it very fast here in Canada. That appears that, our media doesn't seem to be quite as open as the U.S. in regards to talking about that kind of stuff.
You're a comedian. Listen, if I said half the things I say in the first 5 minutes on Canadian radio, I'd have a CSIS and an RCMP officer at my door, and I'd spend at least 20 to 40 years of the rest of my days in deep solitary confinement.
Yes.
Well, she knows all about that. They were threatened after they posted WCB or WorkSafe BC videos. They were actually threatened by the RCMP in Port Moody. So they know exactly what you mean there, and we've actually been censored off the radio several times. And they've interfered with our communications, like our email, just between one another in our group, the Canadian Coalition for Injured Workers and the Canadian Coalition for Walking Wounded, actually, is what we're called.
Exactly, yeah. And, of course, the Walking Wounded, and I just want people to kind of get a little perspective. I've been doing workers' compensation as an occupational doctor, as well as family internal medicine, trauma, burn unit, and toxicology for around 30 years now. And what I've seen working in British Columbia, Alberta, Nova Scotia, Georgia, working in Illinois and Colorado, is an obscenity that cries out. And then added to that, the exposure of the military to the Ferris Doctrine and abuse. It's unbelievable, the destroyed lives, the inappropriate care, the denied claims, the suicides. I mean, it's unbelievable, the trail of horror, like the Trail of Tears was the Native peoples were driven westward toward Oklahoma. It's unbelievable.
Oh, and it just, and it doesn't stop with their seedy investments, to say the least, considering that.
Tell us about that, because that's the other side. Besides denying claims, there are the seedy investments to the tune of billions, with a B, dollars into strange things. For example, you mentioned the nurses union in British Columbia. They're investing back into Rossman's Corporation, Lockheed Martin, the space weaponization system, the SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative.
Merchants of Death.
Yeah, the merchants of death and destruction. Yes, indeed. Tell us more.
Yeah. And it's not, Canada has been trying to sue Big Tobacco for reimbursement of these health care costs for a very long time, and it's been a very huge issue here in Canada. But full well knowing that their pensions are, in fact, getting invested in Big Tobacco. Each and every public sector employee, as well as those within the workers' compensation and ICBC, they get annual reports with their investments every year. So they're more than well aware that their pensions that are supporting tobacco. And yet it's not very little bits of money either. The amounts of money that they're spending in Imperial Tobacco alone is well over $21 million. Page 29 of the British Columbia Investment Management Corporation was well over $40 million.
Yeah. I mean, so we have number one, denied claims, destroyed lives, incredible corruption, and a tie-in with the abomination bill he's signing today with the HIT team, the Health Information Technology people that are going to subjugate your doctor to sanctions and delicensure if they don't obey the federal system, which eventually will be harmonized with Canada. We'll be back in a moment.